and jokes already. We love that. Welcome, Tar. Go ahead and find a spot. For those of you who haven't been to one of these events before, they are the Interview with a Community Helper events. I am hosting them throughout the month of March, and they are based off of the Inside the Actors Studio sort of situation with James Lipton. Only instead of interviewing actors, I am interviewing community helpers. And today's community helper is Chris, the host of the LGBTQ
Hello.
meetups on Wednesdays. So everybody please give Chris a big welcome.
Sweet. It's
Nice.
me.
Yes, it is. Chris,
Yes.
how long have you been in Altspace?
Almost 3 years to the day. Probably a couple days over at this point. I started on a Samsung Galaxy S8 and a Gear VR on one random day.
Nice.
Yes.
And what are you on right now?
I am on the Quest with Link, as some people would slap me for saying it, but I'm gonna say it anyways. The yes, I am. Yes, I am, Henry. You can't hear me? Oh, am I supposed to go on
Oh,
megaphone? I am so sorry. All right, is that better?
can you not
Megaphone?
hear Chris? Is that better?
Okay,
I
good.
didn't realize because he's already sitting next to
Yeah,
me.
I was
So thank you for
thinking.
that warning.
Thanks, Evil. Appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm on the Rift Q. He's Anyways, yeah. So I'm on the Quest with Link. I went through, gosh, so many different headsets throughout the last 3 years. I had the Nolo with his part of gear enhancement. Then I went with the Rift and the Quest and the Go. So yeah, I've tried a lot of them, but now I have retired my Rift to the box for now, and I'm using a Quest with inside out tracking.
Ooh,
So yeah, it's been really good.
nice. And how long have you been a community helper?
Well, my story starts before the Community Helper program. It may have
Ooh.
been the reason why the Community Helper program kind of came to be. There was a time when you may all remember it was a sad day when Altspace was going to close, and I'm glad that I can talk about it now and not actually start tearing up. Um, it was an emotional day, but anyways, there was technically no employees of Altspace. They all got let go, and some of the staff level members gave some of the community people that were really involved, really wanted to help, some admin privileges that now you would see the support team and the campfire have to kind of keep everything rolling. And I was awarded that on day one, and a couple of us, there was, I don't want to name names because I don't want to say wrong names or misnames, but there was probably like 10 of us by the end of the time before Microsoft purchased them that were given the privilege to admin the campfire. And the reward later on, months down the line, was that we would start some kind of a program, and this is what the result is. And I feel like it's really been an awesome experience. A lot of growing pains we're still going through today, but yeah, that was August of 2017. Am I thinking that
I
right?
think so. I think
Something
so.
like that.
I think it's
It was
2017.
August. It was 1 month. It was August something to August for or September 1st. So, and then I've been in the program ever since. I was awarded it because I'd been here so long and did that, and on and on and on. So sorry, a lot of drawn out answer to that.
No worries. But you have been part of Altspace for a while. Do you remember your first experience in Altspace? What was it like?
The good old days. It was a totally different place to a point. It was we have asked to bring the info zone back, which I really like, but when I first started it was, I think, the third or fourth iteration of the entry zone. This one was called the new user interface, new user space. It was the NUI, is what they used to call it. And for 7 days, you would enter into Altspace and you would start in the NUI. So even if I guess you'd still go to your home, but you had the opportunity to go back to the NUI for 7 days. After 7 days, you were
Yeah.
locked out officially, but a lot of us found ways to get back in before room codes were existent and stuff like that. So they still didn't want you to hang out there too long, but we found our way. And my admin mama was Faye. You guys probably know her. She's an amazing person. I've met her 4 times in real life now, and every time I see her, it's amazing. I've met you in real life when Craig came to
We
town.
have,
That was
yes.
awesome. We had some fish and stuff. I didn't eat fish. I had burger, but it was awesome. Uh, and I've met so many more people. We luckily went to Disneyland 3 weeks before they closed. Or I said Disneyland. I'm sorry, Henry. Disney World. Uh, just before they closed it down for 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah. Anyways, I could just ramble on and on.
Yes.
So I'll let you ask more questions.
No worries. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, I don't know how long it took us to figure it out, but we live about 15 minutes away from each other in real life.
Yeah, yeah. It was like getting to know each other first. Like, really, it was like I didn't know she lived in Washington, and then it's like, just through conversation, it's like, oh yeah, something something in Snohomish. I'm like, wait, what? Snohomish?
Yeah.
And I'm like, or maybe I said like Red Robin in Woodinville, and you're like, wait, you live in Woodinville? And I'm like, we should go grab a bite. And it took us like a while, but a big occasion of 3 people coming to town was like, yeah, let's go eat. So
For
it was
sure.
awesome.
So you are, I would say, incredibly popular in Altspace, and you're hosting really popular events, and you host inclusive events that welcome people. In general, like what sort of general advice would you have for people making friends in Altspace? Because some people do find it intimidating.
And I can see that because people come up to me all the time, and I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm popular in Altspace. It just kind of comes with the badge that we all get, because if there's no gold tag admin in the campfire, and and people know I go and come in 2D a lot when I'm doing other things, playing game while I'm in there, but they'll come up and be like, "Are you an admin?" And I'm like, I immediately just say, "No, I'm a community helper. The admin is probably around, and I know who's in there because I hear people around." But for someone that's just trying to create friendship, I think the biggest pointer I would give people is don't just immediately start coming in the campfire and be like, friend, 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 friend. Because we're all going to talk about it like, are you getting a friend from Steve J or whatever? And it's like, yeah. And it's like, you didn't even approach someone. You wanna kind of go in and be like, hey guys, find out what they're talking about. Oh, you're talking about the new Samsung Galaxy phones. I totally just got one. And once you kind of stir up a conversation, and I know it's very intimidating to even start up a conversation, just kind of enter in and, slowly introduce yourself to everybody that's there. And, if it's the right group, if they feel like they're wanting to talk and like have a broad conversation, if you find 2 people that are off in the distance against the fence by a rock, they're probably having a private conversation even though it's a public space. If it's a whole bunch of people, totally come in and like make a conversation. But you're in, there is trolls. We all know trolls exist in Altspace. That's a given. But if you find a group of people that are hanging out talking, kind of throw your 2 cents in there every once in a while. And if you get intertwined, and you can create friendships very easily. There's a friend of mine that's probably one of my best friends in Altspace. Who, when it very first started, I'm running this LGBTQ event, and I try to friend everybody that comes into the space, because even if oh my gosh, I got distracted. I'm sorry. Uh, Everybody comes into my event. I try to friend them so I can kind of see who has been to the event in the past. And this one person came up and they'd be like, "Hey, Chris," and I just kind of keep going because I was in the middle of doing something. And it happened multiple weeks, and I got approached by one of my friends who's probably my 5th longest friend in Altspace, or even less actually. Um, she's like, is there anybody that you're just like totally disagreeing with or not like or whatever? And there was no names given at that point. And I'm like, no, I like everybody, me. And she mentioned the person's name, And I'm like, who? And so it was like really quickly, I immediately went to that person the next meetup or whatever, and I'm like, now we're best friends, and it, it's Henry. He's amazing, and we had such a connection in real life. So I'm gonna start crying if I keep talking about it. So I'm gonna move on. But it was such a funny story. But now we're like best friends in Altspace, and we talk about everything. So it's really cool. But anyways, that's hopefully that answered your question in a long spectrum of emotions and awesomeness.
It did answer my question. Actually, to add on to it, you were talking about people going into the campfire and just immediately friending everybody. I want to remind you all that you should have your own standards. Not everyone deserves to be your friend. Don't lower your standards just because you don't have any friends at the moment. No one can tell. No one's like looking at your name tag and seeing they have 0 friends. Nobody knows that. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you go into the campfire the first time, be choosy. Be choosy about who you want to be friends with, because they can find you online later until you unfriend them. So
Yeah,
don't lower your standards.
it's a two-way street. Definitely agree. I'm not gonna lie and say that I've had a game in my with one of my older friends that we're not super friends right now, but we always had a challenge of how many friend requests can you get, and I think I'm in the 800 range right now. So I
Oh my
mean,
god.
granted, a lot of those numbers came from, and if you guys are like brand new to Altspace, you may not know about it, but there is a thing called body tracking. You could use the Xbox One Connect back in the day. That got removed when we had our avatar shift. They pulled all the bones out of the bodies, but just being in the campfire, dancing and walking around, not even doing anything crazy, it'd be like boop, 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 boop. Like I'd get friend requests just because I had body tracking. So I'd say a good 400 of those are just random people. But overall, I mean, if someone friends me, I may say, oh, like this person friended me and I'm finally talking with them one on one and getting conversations, I'll accept it. But if you just decide you're going to friend me because you saw me in the campfire and never talked to me, it's going to linger. And I don't deny it. I want them to know that I'm still thinking about it, I guess. Hi, Kate. I see you back there. Hi. Kate's another person I met in real life. She's an amazing person. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No worries, no worries. But yeah, to add on to that, if you're listening to Chris and going, how does he have 800 friend requests? One day you too will have the problem of having too many friend requests. I promise you that. Yeah, it'll happen. Just give it time. It will happen.
It's very easy. I mean, it's not that I don't want to friend the 800 people. It's a lot of them, granted, are probably people that were, if you're again new to Altspace as a community helper, and they probably talked about this before. We have a new info zone, okay, or some people like to call it the infant zone. Anyways, but it is a place where all guests have to go. Before, guests could roam anywhere in Altspace, and a lot of those could very well be just guest accounts. I don't even know if they'd still stick at this point, but guests would come in and try to friend you, or people that come in for a day and then leave. I just realized I can't get friends requests from guests. I just realized that in my head. So I know people are thinking, what is he talking about? But there's a lot of people that would come into Altspace during the holiday seasons and come in for 5 minutes and never return ever again, or they'd come back again in a different account because they forgot their email. So I know there's a ton of people that have been in Altspace, and I've been here for 3 years with the same account. Never lost it because I always put in all my birthday information. I know some of my friends lost their accounts because of a purge from the UK, whatever that GA blah 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 thing. But anyways, I don't know where I was going with that.
There was international law. Yeah, don't worry about it. You're good now.
Yeah, everybody's good. So
So, you're a community helper. You do a lot. You do a lot of events. You hang out in the campfire and help people. What do you want people to know about community helpers?
something from the very beginning that, especially with like, I found it so much more personal because there was the 10 of us or more that really helped when Altspace needed it the most. Is there are not that many campfire assistants or campfire support team people. They can't cover it all the time. They get asked millions of questions. So as a community helper, you want to be receptive to people coming up and just saying, "Hey, how did you get that color?" Or I just came from your event. It was amazing. How do you do an event? And I know Altspace has had times where it's a little slower, and Schmidt Tech has made how to create an event or how to host an event or how to do whatever. And people like this is even amazing what Calen is doing off of us being able to tell you, but don't do it as an achievement because that was a lot of people like, oh, Chris, I know you do the LGBTQ event. Can I moderate for you just because I need one more event before I can submit it to Calen to get my recommendation? It's like, it should be something you want to do because you want to do it. A lot of the veterans of Altspace, um, not naming any names, have had the community helper tag because they've literally been here forever and they hit all the points, but from day one they turned off the badge and will never turn it back on again. Evil. Anyways, anyways, don't get it as an achievement. Get it to be receptive to people. You have the opportunity to turn it off whenever you need to. You can turn it back on when you need to. If you're having a bad day, as Lena has told us before and other campfire admins have told us before, it's not a job. It should be something you want to do in your free time when you feel up to it. If you need to turn your badge off, turn it off. It's okay. But I think the biggest thing is people were like, achievement, granted or accepted, or that's not what this is all about. It's being a part of the community and helping people out. So I have my bad days and I turn it off, and sometimes people come in and say, Chris, your tag's off. Did you lose it? What did you do? And I'm like, I just turned it off. I just took a break. So sometimes you don't feel like interacting with people in that level. Even though I'll still help people anyways, you just don't want to be recognized as a community helper for that moment. It's happened. So, yeah.
Well said. Well said. Do you have a favorite Altspace memory?
There's so many that have been made throughout time, but I'd have to go back to the very beginning. I remember coming in the Nui and seeing Faye standing. If you've never seen a picture of the Nui, I could post it on Instagram because it's so classic, but it looked like 2 carrots in a pot with a stick of butter and a potato. And that's what we used to call it. But Faye would stand there when she was just hanging out at the Nui, and the top of the carrot looking pot would have like the stems, and she'd just sit there and poke her finger through it. And it's so silly, but it's those kind of memories of just hanging out. Um, when Henry was building his different spaces, uh, like so many, like the tiny adventure and all that kind of stuff, just hanging out there, um, meeting all the new admins, knowing that the way Altspace worked for me is I got into it and literally second day I applied to be a campfire admin. It was too soon, but then I found out later that that wasn't going to be able to happen and I had to let it go. But yeah, those are a few of my memories that I can't really say there was one specific one. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I think that the friendships that I'll have forever, and not to say the people I haven't met in real life aren't going to last forever, because I hope that one day I'd be able to meet all of my really close friends. But I think the friendships that I met even in the last month in real life in Walt Disney World, those people know who they are and they know how much I cried when I got there and when I had to leave. And you'll never see their avatar again. You'll just see their faces. So, uh, again, changing subjects before I start to make my headset get all wet. What's your next question?
My final question for you before we move into questions from the audience is where do you want to see Altspace go in the future? What do you want to see from Altspace?
Well, to caveat that question a little bit pretensively is Altspace is amazing, and I've been in a lot of different platforms, and no matter where I go, there hasn't been a place that's like home like Altspace. There's no moderation level like Altspace. There's no family like Altspace. Maybe it's just a place of belonging that you can always come back and know that. I guess I never saw myself as a leader. I never saw myself ever being someone to host an event for 3 years. I'm like 10 weeks away from hitting my 3 year mark on the LGBTQ meetup, which is a little shocking for me. And every time I think about it outside of the event, because it's so routine, it makes me like I explained it to my friends in real life, and I explained it to my coworkers, and every time I get a little teary eyed because you don't really think about routine as often until you're looking from the outside and observing what you did and hear the accomplishments that people put on you. And I'm like, please don't, because I'll start crying. Just stop talking. But um, I want to see Altspace not compete with other platforms. I mean, and I'm just gonna say it. Everybody, when I had the opportunity to go to OC6, I got to meet all the core Altspace employees that don't work there anymore, that have moved on to different companies. A big group went to Facebook, and they're bringing that core Altspace to heart into the Facebook horizon. And I know that they're going to learn from each other as they grow because Facebook has such a backing of all these Altspace employees that built what they had already, and Altspace is working towards what they're working towards. I believe as a VR community of social applications, we're going to see things that we're going to like in one and things that we're going to like in the other. And the moderation, hopefully, I want to see it grow. I want to see without putting too hard of a point on it, I want to see the collaboration. I really, really, really want Altspace staff members to collaborate with people that have been here a long time and the people that are brand new, because fresh blood and old blood mixing together is going to bring something amazing. It's going to bring a DNA of Altspace to something amazing. But and I know that the Altspace staff member team has ideas too, and I feel like if we all come together as we collaborate, it'll be something that we all love and can cherish for years to come. Because 3 or 4 years or 5 years of VR is just the tip of the iceberg. We have millenniums of years where VR is going to move into something more, and it's going to be embedded in ourselves and stuff like that. So I just know that VR is, it'll just be just like a cell phone. You know, cell phones were huge and they were in a car, to something that's in your pocket the size of literally a stick of gum, and now they're getting bigger and better. And it's it's just like that. It's like VR is going to change in so many ways that we can't even imagine right now. It doesn't look quite realistic, but I can only imagine when it looks like I'm looking at you, like let's say example, you 3D scan your body in, and that's what you're going to be looking at. So then you have that actual connection. Like it just, there's so many emotions and touchy feely smells and this, that, and the other that we haven't even touched on yet, because the computer power that we have right now will not withstand it. But when we reach that mark, it's going to be amazing. And especially, I think with Altspace in the position it is right now, with what's going on in the epidemic, pandemic in the world right now, to have the opportunity to hang out with people. Like, I mean, we're not even supposed to go to our friend's house and hang out, because who knows where he was at, where I was at, to bring it together. Like I said, the Disney World trip is amazing that it happened when it did, because there's people right now that wouldn't have been able to go home. They'd be stuck in the United States until further notice. I mean, not that that's a bad thing, because I'd love to see those people in real life, but it kind of puts a hinder on their life. So I think VR is like the perfect window for us to share now, and not actually have to, even though we live 15 minutes away, we really shouldn't be hanging out together, but I can hang out with you right now because we're sitting in the same room chit-chatting. So I think that's awesome. And I hope that we can take what we've learned from this experience and publicize it and say, hey, come into VR, because if you can't hang out or you can't work, but you need to be there to say, hey, this is what project we're working on, take a table and work digitally, and do it like that. It's just kind of cool. So I'm a big nerd, as a lot of you know, but if you don't, I'm testing products all the time. So I'm going to end that. But thank you. I just kind of ramble.
Of course.
I can fill an hour if you want
No
me to.
problem. Okay, everyone, that was my final question for Chris, but I'm going to give you all the opportunity to ask Chris some questions. Before that, can we just give him a little round preemptively? Yes. Nice. Thank you. Also, if you're interested in becoming a community helper, that information can be found at altvr.com/community-helper-program. Right now is your opportunity to ask Chris questions about his experience. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on the hand raises. And if you have a question, go ahead and click that hand raise button. Not the emoji, but the little button that says hand raise, and then I will call on you. Loco, what's your question?
Hello, Chris.
Hello,
I
Hotsy.
am. Hello, yes, my name is Hotsy. I am wondering, what is one of your favorite moments from any of your events that you have done?
It's got to be a classic. With my Wednesday event, it was, and it doesn't have to be specific to the UE or the EU or the North American, but I think having Pride in VR was one of my favorite things. And the first year we had access to one of the classic spaces that Nate and there's someone else. They built Aspire. It was a dance area where they did DJing and music, and they had such a future plan for it. But just seeing everybody come in with Genesis, what was it? The clothing thing, the different. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it.
The dress up app?
Yeah, dress up. The dress up app in Pride, with all the things I put in there, with all the little avatars on the table. Just, I know that was so premature of where we are now, and I know we'll get back to that with our new MRE, but having everybody be there and doing all of that in one place from all around the world was just awesome. So that was one of my favorite moments in VR.
Thank you for that question, Loco. And next we're going to hear from, how did you say it? Almighty Yenna? Is that, you told me how to pronounce it and I forgot.
Yeah, Almighty Yenna. That's it.
Nice.
Okay, so hi, Chris.
Hello.
So it's funny you mentioned, like, what are we doing during this pandemic? I picked up this Oculus Go a couple days ago, actually, because we're starting to get quarantined in the area of Washington I'm at.
Yes, Washington! Woo woo!
Yeah, you know. Yeah, I'm around Puyallup area. If you guys know
Okay,
that.
down south. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Been there, done that.
So I'm fascinated by this game. I didn't really know what it was when I jumped in. And yeah, I've made a few friends already. It's weird because I'm really not that social in real life, but here it was just easy. It's like the game got a,
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean.
So, yeah, so my question to you was, I've gotten around a little bit, but kind of where do I start to really kind of engage and see what this program can do? Because I've been a little social.
So I would say if you haven't, Altspace is hiding it a little bit because it's not perfected to what they want. But if you haven't been told, click on the bluish white triangle in the menu, and then go to settings. And then in general, you should see the second thing down says enable world-based beta. That'll allow you to see the top 20 worlds that are available. And if you find someone that has a really cool world, you should see their name in the world. Then you go back to the main menu at the bottom, and you'll see beta worlds. But if you find one really cool, you can find who made it in the top, and you can find them in Altspace and say, hey, do you have any other worlds? Because I guarantee they built probably hundreds of worlds. There's a lot of creators.
That's amazing.
There used to be 560, 760 pages of worlds, which was, or no, not pages. There was 70 to 90 pages. It was 530 worlds. And they kind of had to dumb it down a little bit.
That's why we had to cut it down.
Yeah. So there's tons of worlds. There's tons of worlds out there. Worlds are amazing. Find the events you're on Altspace on the perfect day. Wednesday is the most popular for open mic night, my event at the LGBTQ mingle and chill with our creator slash community helper, or not community helper, community manager Lena and Keegan, either or may be there. The SDK development, so you can learn how to make things with Steven.
Wow.
And then it's crazy. So this day is like you should be in here like almost all day because there's event after event after event. So that's just, I mean, there's other events. I'm not trying to say other days of the week aren't busy either, but this one has the most mixture of activities where you can learn how to build, you can learn how to talk to community helpers with this event. You can go and talk to senior people in Altspace and sing and, listen to people read poems and books. It's crazy. So anyways, that's to cut it off without going too long.
Keith, that's perfect. Yep, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you for that question. I loved that question, Almighty Anna, and also welcome to Altspace.
Yes, and thank you for friending me. We will talk more later.
Okay, we have time for only the 3 questions that are on the thing right now. That is all we will have time for. Okay, so let's hear first from Henry.
Hello, Chris.
Oh, hello, Henry.
First question, it's a two-parter. First question, how wet is your face mask right now?
It's,
I know.
If we are talking about my face mask, it's a pretty soggy right now. I had to hold back the tears. Henry knows I'm a total crier. I can't even think about it because I just, it makes me think about Florida. But yeah, I cry a lot when it comes to seeing people I care about. But yeah.
And another question. So when you came in here and you were on the gear, how long were you on the gear for before you got your Oculus?
So that was March of 2000. Was it 2017 when that came out? You work at Verizon. Was it 2017 March when they came out with the?
It's all a blur. It's all a blur.
Yeah.
It's every year.
I feel like Altspace was going to close, and I was thinking about getting a computer, and I was like, oh, hell no, I'm getting a computer now, because I would have not bought a VR gaming PC, which I actually built from the ground up with the help of Mike/Meek, MKYE or whatever. I don't even care at this point. Anyways, he helped me build it after Altspace came back. But there was a summer sale. I feel like it was a year later, but I don't even remember because.
So you were on the gear for a year? Oh my god!
I was on the gear for a long time, but then I got Nolo, which is like you put a little disco ball here. You have 2 things that look like mini Go controller or PlayStation VR Go, whatever those controllers were that had the little ball on top. That was linked to my MacBook Pro, which was catching on fire pretty much. Trying to get in with Steam VR into Altspace for like a good 5 months. And that was when I talked to Meek and I said, you got to help me build a computer that's super cheap. And it was like $900 plus 2 or 3 for the Rift. So I want to say it wasn't probably quite a year. It's probably 9 months before I decided to build the computer. And I bought the summer sale before they actually cut the price of the Rift. But I was on the Rift for a long time. And I'm so happy to be on the Quest now. But thank you, Henry, for those questions. It is.
Thanks, Chris.
Going from the Go to the Quest is like night and day. But if you actually have a powerful computer or you want to build one, the Rift S is probably the best comfort. And if you want to go crazy like Henry and buy $1,000 kit for the Index and get a free version of Half-Life Alyx, then you can do that if it's actually available anywhere, which it really isn't. But anyways, there's a lot. If you want to hear more about tech, A Minute in Tech on the Rooftop is a really cool twice-a-month event that we do, and I talk about all things VR, gaming related, so just check the listing. It's out there. It's this coming Monday, actually. So, yeah. But thanks, Henry.
Thank you, Henry. And our next question is from the VR Kid.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I am new to Oculus Go. I have an Oculus Go. I'm new to this game. Started today. My question is, it's a short one. How do you change your avatar?
That's very easy. I can give you a quick summary. So click the Altspace triangle in the middle of the menu, go to Me,
Yep.
and then
Yeah.
you'll see Customize Avatar under your username, and that's where you can change the body. There's only 5 options right now, but you can change the colors, the shirt, the pants, the shoes on humanoids. So customizations are limited, but they're there. And yeah, that's it. Is there any other question
Thank you so
that
much.
you need answered?
Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
No problem, VR Kid.
Thank you, VR Kid, for allowing Chris to demonstrate his amazing community helper skills.
Yes.
And a final question is from the original Sarah.
Hi. So, my question, and I've already said this once already at a community helper. In your, I guess, friend group, minus me, who would you say is your favorite?
Oh my gosh, you're not doing that right now. How dare you? How dare you? My friend, my favorite best friend is. I'm gonna try to put a name together that's gonna be really crazy. Maker incredible. Is that good enough? That's their name.
Sure.
Because their name is
Sure.
all of them. I put a little of everybody's name in there. Yeah. Hi, Kate.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question, original Sarah. Okay, everyone, that is the end of the event for today. There will be more interviews with community helpers in the future. I can't quite remember when the next one will be, but it is sometime this week. My brain is getting a little bit scrambled with all the scheduling that I've been doing. So go ahead and find it under this week. It'll be the same green little picture and everything. But before we go, let's give Chris another round of applause for his amazing interview.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the...
And Chris, what's,
Yes?
what's another event that they might want to go to later today?
That would be the LGBTQ and friends, LGBTQ plus and friends hangout, meetup. There's that's the big one. That's actually, wow, I just remembered it starts in 20 minutes, so I gotta go. I gotta go upload my slides, but definitely come check that out. That's the EU version, and then we've got the North American later. And then open mic night, of course. Those are the
Yes.
3 big ones. But thank you again, Calen. Give her a round of
course.
applause for what she's been doing with all the
Oh, thank
scheduling with all the
you.
people. And just being an awesome community support team member at the campfire and with events and all that stuff. She's amazing.
Thank you.
And
I'm
everybody-
going to go ahead and toggle off the mute all.
Everybody, do not cough on people, even in VR. There are viruses that exist. Evil, please.
Everybody just immediately started
Yes.
coughing.
I just wanna
Very
comment
6 feet,
for when
6
I
feet
will
away,
be
please. I
done.
need you guys to stay 6 feet away from each other. I feel like there's a little bit. You guys are too close over here.
What time is it?
Thank you.
What time is it near you?
Okay, everyone, I'm going to get going, but I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. And as Chris said, there are many amazing events for the rest of the day as well.
Thank you, Chris.
So,
Thank you very much.
see y'all later.
Thank you again, Caitlin.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Chris.
Have a great day, Chris. Bye.
You're just being
Well, I'll be here. I ain't going nowhere.
And they don't want you to come out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, bye bye, Chris. Have a
Can
good
I
day.
friend you? Chris, can I friend you?
Sure.
Oh, I know you so well.
Okay,
I
let's
know
see
you
if
so
I can-
well.
I knew she was gonna jump. Thanks. Hello, Drown. How are
Bye,
you?
Chris. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, and also, I just want to say one more thing, Chris. This is my first time actually being on this game, and I love
Yeah,
it.
me too.
It's
I
amazing.
started today.
Yes, sir, it is.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm not that old. You don't have to call me sir. I don't need you to call me sir.
Bye, Chris. Have a great day.
Oh.
Today was
Bye,
my first
Chris.
day, so I will mean.
Bye.
My whole mind is going crazy. People go through me all the time.
Excuse me.
No, honey, no.
Excuse me, sir.
No.
Excuse me, sir.
Don't make me call
Sir,
you sir.
are you out of
That
toilet
was
paper at
amazing.
Costco?
Oh my god, you're so good.
Oh,
at
I'm sure
toilet
they're
paper.
out of toilet paper. What are you kidding me? It's
I
like
saw his
a hot
post on
commodity.
Instagram.
I have so many. I have so many rolls of toilet paper. I can't even tell you. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
That was great.
Says I'm on eBay.
I almost didn't say your name after I told that story. I'm like, should I say Henry or?
Oh, I don't care. That's fine.
So long, girl.
I know.
So, Chris, have you decided what you're going to do with the thing?
Yeah, I think I'm going. Well, definitely, I know exactly what I'm gonna do with
I'm
the
doing
EU.
good. Just trying to
Because
survive
that's
on
not-
this, well,
But I hope that
chaos.
with a few hours
Apparently,
remaining.
everybody thinks it's the apocalypse. and
But I'm
finds
pretty
so much
sure
stuff
I'm
here.
just
Like,
gonna. I already
it's
set it
gonna
up.
go
I'm just
bad
gonna drop
really
it.
Fast.
Drop it like it's hot.
What's wrong?
So,
It
like,
is crazy.
Someone
Wait,
revolted my
Anthony.
change in my event.
Crazy.
His name starts with an S. So
What do you mean? What changed in the event?
I changed it so that it was in the space that this guy spent forever working on because
Sure, yeah.
it was approved, and then I was told that it wasn't approved because of trademark, and I'm like, what trademark? And there was no answer given. So he said, oh, we still need to get that approved, and I'm like, well, I already changed it, and he changed it back. So we're just gonna drop a portal in the middle of the space and leave. That's all.
That's all.
No biggie. So I already took his event, made a world out of it, and put the slideshow in the right place. So it'll just, I'm gonna make it big right where I should go in there and remove the other. I'm just gonna put the spawn point and then put the portal right in the spawn point.
Did you try the MRE app yet? I haven't tested it.
Yes, I did. It works.
Oh, it works? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what, Chris? You don't have to be spotlight. Whatever.
No, I don't, and you're right.
Yeah,
But
So,
and the
you know
funny
how
thing
you're my
is
mom on all
that
things, right?
without Spotlight, because I've only
Yes.
gotten like 50 people
So I
on
have a
the
mom on
whatchamacallit.
Ericsson also.
There's
Yeah.
206
Chris,
people that want to
My
be
best friend's
at the North
girl,
American
she's like
event.
my mom and her boyfriend.
And
Yeah, I
that
see
was
that.
2 days
That's
ago.
great.
They're on their little
Yeah.
tiny.
So
That's
that has
great.
no
They have a
relevance
tiny avatar,
to
and they call me
spotlighting
Tiny
it or
Tot.
not. Maybe it
Right.
does, but everybody's
It could,
stuck at
it
home,
could, but
so whatever.
I doubt. Yeah, people are stuck. We're,
But you're
they
my-
just told
you
us
were
we're
my
going down to a
first
3-day
mom.
work week,
I'm your.
and they already be closed down 2
Yes,
of our
you're
stores in
my
our
mom.
zone. So
My friends, my make-believe.
they're gonna close more.
Sorry.
Don't close us.
Well,
Chris, hello.
It's okay.
Hold on one second. Let me finish this statement really quick, or this thought.
You tired?
There's rumor now.
Mhm.
My mom heard from a friend
You tired?
that they're gonna
Yeah.
put a curfew on Washington, LA, and New York. That everybody has to be at home by 8 o'clock. So that would mean Costco has to cut their hours dramatically.
We already have that
Multiple
in New
hugs.
Jersey.
Multiple hugs.
Oh, thank you.
So-
Oh, you're so
We already have that in New Jersey. So yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. I need to head out. What's up, Drown?
Yeah, go do your thing.
Wait, Chris, can I ask you something? How do I get to the next event? I'm sorry, I just...
Oh, that's fine. You'll be fine.
Open up your open up the events tab.
Seriously? That's it? I just got to the events tab and that's it?
Yep.
Yeah, just open up
Here.
your green. You know, you
You're
see
fine.
your blue
Don't worry about it.
menu.
But
Yeah.
I really
Button.
wanted to
Open up
see
there, go
your
to events.
community helper.
And
Well,
then-
thank you. You're
Yeah, choose
amazing.
wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
Are you?
Oh,
Is it this Saturday or was it last Saturday that Wilder was doing
That's
the
neat.
Saturday event?
Yeah.
It was last Saturday.
So the
Okay.
next one that's up is the
But
LGBTQ.
transgender meetup, I was supposed to go to
Oh,
the
cool.
And there's
government
also
Oh, because of the-
there's a watch party.
Okay.
At
Yeah.
7:46.
Is that? I'm
on
assuming that's
19th.
until further notice on canceling the
Yeah, it's
meetup
not bad.
thing.
I have to give you a
Okay.
hug as well.
Yeah.
It'll be
I
back.
really hope it's back.
You're welcome.
I hope it's back again next month, but
Have a
we
good day.
just don't know yet.
Yeah.
Me too.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you can't do any public meetings, so that makes sense.
Chris, before
Well,
you go, you need a hug.
technically we
Oh,
could.
you're amazing. Hug.
Also, I asked Stevie that same question I asked you. He was like,
Wait,
"You're
who
gonna make me like count
who
up
did he
this
say?
one
I literally
stretch."
just made up a
Who did he
name
say,
out of.
Sarah?
Who did I say? I said Mega
said multiple
Raya
names because of
Henry
us.
Cable.
So I asked Stevie that same question in our friend group who
You
is
didn't
like
even say
our
me.
favorite.
I see
Minus
that.
me.
I can't. It's a
minus
long name. It's a
myself.
lot of syllables
I
that have to
minus
combine.
myself.
You could have said
Most people
Oko
would
at the
say
end or
me.
something.
So
Jaloco
I didn't want to.
Jaloco.
for Jason Loco. He wouldn't have liked that, especially being that I was recording the whole thing. So